Hey, Jens. All right, getting TikTok rolling. Excellent. Boom. Boom. There we go. Woo, put on my fan for my computer. My computer for my room. Hold on. And Vlad might be joining us since he's back from his trip. Hey, Joey. Thanks for joining us for the live preview. Owen Zerpachi, you're doing both. And Nick, hey. Yep, there we go, turning on my fan. you're everywhere. Woo. Hey, PJ. All right, guys, welcome. And again, Vlad may or may not be joining us. Thank you, Nicholas. But we'll see. If he doesn't join us, well, I pulled up the news of the last week, so I'll do a review of the news for the last week regardless, which I think, the top news, which I think would be interesting. So there. Anyway, hello all. Morning. We have one more nasty day in D.C. with the weather, and then finally the weather breaks. I guess it broke in the Midwest yesterday. So the next week is like 80s, which is insanely nice. Even for D.C., that's really nice for like August. But this has been just hideous, like all of us. Anyway, good morning all. Welcome. This is my weekend show I do Saturday mornings, most Saturday mornings, 11 a.m. for the paid monthly subscribers. So welcome. You can join either on, TikTok, you have to be a paid TikTok subscriber to do it. Everybody else comes via YouTube. Not via YouTube, I'm sorry, via Discord. So, which reminds me, I've got to update that link, or I don't even know what to do about the link. Oh, it pisses me off, the whole link problem on Linktree. I'm going to write myself a note. In any case, welcome, folks. What I think I'll do, as I was saying, is go through the news. Hey, Chris. Go through the news and update Linktree Discord link. All right. I think I will go through the news and look at, kind of summarize what's been happening the last week for folks. Hey guys, welcome. I'm John Aravosis. For any of the new TikTok folks that might be joining, this is my show that I actually do. Oops, didn't turn my camera on Discord yet. Sorry about that. There we go. This is my show that I actually do, thank you LWD, Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, U.S. Every night, New York City time, Washington, D.C. time, where I cover the latest news from Ukraine. The way that show works is I basically cover the news for the first half of the show, and then adjusting my lighting here, and then second half of the show, I take your guys' questions. The way the weekend works is this is a much more casual show for subscribers only. We hang out, we talk. Typically, I will go through the news of the week and just kind of summarize the top stories. Thank you, Jetta, and of course, take questions. Also, very often, my friend Vlad in Ukraine, who has been coordinating a bunch of humanitarian and military aid that we've been raising, joins us from southwestern Ukraine and kind of fills us in on the latest of what's been going on, what the feeling is from Ukraine. He joins us live from there. He may be joining us today. He is around. I just was messaging with him, but we try not to require Vlad to join us since Vlad's doing this all for free. But I'm guessing he'll probably join us for a little bit. So let me get rolling, guys. I will go through the news and summarize the top news of the week for you. Russia destroyed the Orthodox Church in Odessa. Odessa, you may recall, is a hugely important city in Ukraine down here. Still not occupied by the Russians. Oh, Vlad is here. Hey, Vlad. Okay. I was going to, well, you know what? Let's beam Vlad in. And then we'll talk a little bit. So, Vlad, let me see. I'll invite you. Here we go. There we go. So Vlad is our friend in Ukraine who has been coordinating a bunch of the humanitarian aid and military aid. All right. And we'll do our usual, Vlad. We'll do our usual hello. I'm going to plug this into my computer. Vlad is going to, because what we do basically is we stream from two places. One is on TikTok, and the other is we stream to Discord. We have a Discord community. It's discord.aravosis.com. And we've got paid subscribers on a bunch of other platforms, Discord, YouTube, Twitch, Ko-fi, and they can join us by coming in via the Discord. So I put this on so that once Vlad gets on the Discord, I can hear him, and it doesn't interfere with you guys, the microphones. It's very complicated. In any case, while Vlad gets set up, I will give you a little bit of the news. So Russia has been hitting the town of Odessa in southern Ukraine well, two different things. One, they destroyed the Orthodox cathedral there. It was the huge cathedral of Odessa, beautiful old church, founded in around 1790 or so. The Russians bombed it with missiles. It is thought that they did it on purpose. These were not, sort of dumb missiles that they didn't know where they were going. This was basically Putin's revenge. What is interesting about that, in addition to the fact that, of course, they bombed an Orthodox church, and this is the same faith. This is literally the same faith that the Russians have. It's Russian Orthodox. So really amazing. I mean, Putin bombed one of his own churches to show you kind of the Russian mentality in this war. But what is also interesting is Odessa, they speak Russian. This was a Russian church. A lot of the people that go there are Russian, whether they're Russian ethnics, but certainly speaking Russian. And what you find is one of the bogus claims that Putin gave for starting the war was supposedly he had to save the Russian speakers in Ukraine because they're all oppressed. Well, Putin has been outright bombing the Russian speakers, as we saw in Odessa this week. And what is interesting is actually you are seeing more and more stories talking about how the Ukrainians are now switching from speaking Russian at all. The Russian-speaking Ukrainians, Vlad's one of them, for example. Vlad was brought up in northeastern Ukraine in the town of Kharkiv, and he was brought up speaking Russian. Russian is his first language. At age 10, he had to start studying Ukrainian to learn it because his high school exams were going to be in Ukrainian. So by the age of 10, he didn't even speak Ukrainian as a Ukrainian. Like, that's how bilingual the country, or not even bilingual, right? Monolingual. It's like Quebec and France, right? Thank you, Ellie. Not oppressed at all, but what you are finding now is that the Russian-speaking Ukrainians are now pretty much trying to switch to only speaking Ukrainian instead of Russian now. And Putin created that. In any case, one of the other big stories this week, Russia attacked a Ukrainian grain facility on a port facility on the Danube River, which is the river separating Ukraine from Romania. But literally, this bomb landed about 600 feet or 200 meters from Romanian land, from Romanian territory. Russia got very close to striking a NATO ally. And what is, I don't want to say interesting about that, but what's noteworthy about that, obviously on its face, is that's pretty bad. But what's interesting about it is it shows once again sort of the recklessness of what Putin is doing with this war, that they are so trying to antagonize and fear and one-up NATO that he's doing things that are very risky. Because let's face it, you bomb NATO, you do risk war, although I don't think NATO would go to war over it. But nonetheless. Yep, Vlad's there. Vlad, you want to try to, you'll try to beam in on Discord, because I've got my sound on Discord, because I can't do sound. Well, the way I've got it set up right now, I can't do sound on TikTok. So if you can join Discord, I'll listen there. And while Vlad is doing that, I will tell you. So that was a big story this week. Let me see. F-16 update. So yes, the training on the F-16s for the Ukrainians will begin next month. It will possibly take about 6 months. The concern, though, is U.S. officials have now backtracked a little, because initially they were saying, by the end of the year, Ukraine can get the F-16s. Now they are saying that Ukraine will probably not get the F-16s until next spring, which is almost a year from now. That's pretty pathetic in my view. What I'm doing right now is sort of going through the news that I covered. These are little tidbits of news from everything I covered over the last week from my nightly show. I'm on every night, by the way, on TikTok and YouTube at 6 p.m. Eastern Time U.S. That's New York City and Washington, D.C. time. I'm here in Washington, D.C. But join us 6 p.m. Eastern every night. Just set your alarm Monday to Friday. What else we got here? Cluster munitions, security officials. I'm just looking here. Oh, yeah, really interesting article in the Washington Post this week. Incredible article, talking to a number of Western security intelligence officials that said that basically Putin was paralyzed for the first 36 hours of the coup attempt against him. He didn't know what to do. And he was warned 2 to 3 days before the coup that Prigozhin, the coup leader, was up to something and was plotting a rebellion. Putin didn't do anything about it other than he did beef up some of the security at the Kremlin and places like this, but he did nothing about going after Prigozhin. And what did Prigozhin do? He launched a coup, right? Amazing. Sorry, looking here. All right, Vlad's still trying to get on Discord, I'm assuming. Looking here, just make sure. Okay, you're still waiting to get on Discord, right? I assume, Vlad? Okay, so I'm going to unplug my... Hear this way I can hear Vlad if he speaks. Oops, 1 sec. There we are. Are you trying to get on Discord or no? Vladdy?
Yeah, I tried to connect to the internet.
Oh, okay, he's trying. All right, just checking. I'll plug my mic back in so we don't get mic feedback.
I have...
That's all right. All right, plug this back in. All right. Over on Discord. I will keep going. Anyway, fascinating article in the Washington Post. If you can access it, you should. Looking at the latest, like I said, the news that I covered in the last week. This is 5 days. This is 5 hours of news here, folks. So I'm grabbing just the tidbits for you. So big story this week, Tuesday or Wednesday, I think it was. I think Tuesday. The counteroffensive, which is about 6 or 7 weeks old by the Ukrainians, ramped up significantly this week. Up until now, the Ukrainians have been basically, well, I would say the counteroffensive up until now has been two main things. One, Ukraine trying to hit Russia's logistics, hitting their supplies. In other words, making it so that it is harder for Russia to fight, going after Russia's capacity to make war. In other words, blowing up ammunition storage, blowing up fuel storage, right, for their trucks, and their tanks and everything. Going after command and control, which are Russian military headquarters, right? You go after the military, you go after the commanders, and the troops don't know what to do. So Ukraine's been going after that, hitting oil refineries, all sorts of things. The bridge, right? They went after the Kerch Bridge, remember? All that kind of stuff. And the second thing they've been doing is probing. They've been hitting various parts in Ukraine, specifically, up here around Bakhmut, down here around Donetsk, down here in Zaporizhia province. Hitting those three areas to basically see just how good the Russian defenses are. It's called probing in the military. And the idea is they're probing. They're just kind of testing and seeing, are any of these areas weaker than the others, that maybe we should attack that area versus another? Well, this week, the Ukrainians decided to take... the final point there is, Ukraine did not yet commit, as of this week, the majority of their forces. The majority of their forces that they prepared for the counteroffensive were still waiting in the wings. So part of the reason it's been going slowly, obviously, has been, not part of the reason, the reason it's been going so slowly the last 6 weeks is the Ukrainians are literally going, landmine by landmine with small teams trying to blow them up. But also, the majority of Ukraine's troops have not been committed yet. This was not intended to be the big battle of the last 6 weeks. Well, this week, Ukraine committed a lot of those troops and a lot of those weapons. We don't know how many, we don't know how much are in reserve still, but this was definitely ramping up the battle to a more significant level, and they're doing it in Zaporizhia. That is down here, so it's this province. Now, what's interesting about that is, the thinking is, and this is not rocket science, so the Russians know this, but the thinking is, if Ukraine's really putting a lot of troops and effort here, they're probably trying to go down, take the town of Tokmak, take the town of Melitopol, the one marked here, and get to the sea of Azov. That will allow Ukraine to cut the Russian occupation in half, because the Russian occupation, remember, includes this and all of this on the borders, right, to this. If the Ukrainians can do this, they've now cut this off from this. They've cut supplies that might be coming across the Kerch Bridge here and going this way are cut off. These guys can't help each other. And once you cut this off, then you destroy the Kerch Bridge, and now you've got Crimea and Kherson, two of the occupied territories that are 100% cut off from the Russians, which is a big deal. So that appears to be at least what the Ukrainians are up to now. But this, I would say this is the big story of the week, is the fact that Ukraine has beefed up the counteroffensive. Again, it may not be the final beefing up, right? There still may be a lot of troops left to go, but that's a big deal. let me see here. Again, I'm just sort of grabbing. And Vlad, feel free to jump in. Oh, there you are. I didn't see. Okay. Sorry, Vlad's right here. Let me make him... I never know how to do this. Hold on. This thing drives me crazy. Hold on. Oops. All right. Sorry, I'm making sure Vlad is able to speak on Discord. Last time, all right. Oh, invite to speak. There we go. There you go. Okay, now you should be able to speak on Discord. I was waiting to find that thing. So now we should be able to hear Vlad on Discord. Actually, good timing. Vlad is now a speaker. There you.
Yep, I hear.
Woo-hoo! Yes. All right. Are folks able to hear Vlad okay on Discord?
Okay.
Okay. And I'm assuming on TikTok you guys can hear Vlad okay? I'm going to guess your internet's a bit...
You know, I'm now in the mountains.
I was just going to say your internet's slower today, is it?
To the mountains
Yep.
with family.
Ah, that's why.
Yeah, and I try to find in the hotel place where at least some internet.
That's okay.
That's why a bit strange situation.
You know what? What I might
one room doesn't have at all internet,
Right.
and I try to choose another room.
That's okay. You know what? Why don't you...
So if internet is broken, that's not my fault.
Yeah. Why don't you turn off your video on Discord?
Yeah, go ahead.
Turn off your video on Discord just to save a little...
I don't think that's... no.
You don't think doing a double stream?
Exactly, in the Discord, no problems. No. Problem with TikTok.
Yes, but my concern was whether you are streaming to, whether your bandwidth is getting limited by the video to Discord, no?
No.
Okay. I mean, Vlad is a tech guy, so he knows this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Laptop, Yes. Laptop have a more powerful Wi-Fi connector.
Okay.
That's
Gotcha. Yeah, because Vlad is using his phone and his laptop for two different things. We're streaming on Discord at the same time that we're streaming on TikTok. That's why. That's okay. Yeah, it is being a little bit... TikTok is an internet hog, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it's being a little bit evil on the TikTok side. I'm wondering, should we get Vlad to turn off his video on TikTok? That might help. You know, Vlad, or not?
I think Discord works well, but not TikTok, unfortunately, and I have no idea why.
Well, you know what? Right now it's going okay. I think moving around may be an issue too.
Let's try to sit in the one place and don't go for a walk anywhere. And
Exactly.
Let's try to talk in this place.
Okay, so just to remind folks, or if you're new and you don't know, so Vlad is a friend of ours and colleague who is from Kharkiv, Ukraine, which is northeastern Ukraine. The day the war started, Vlad had already had plans, because he was one of the few Ukrainians who actually did believe Putin was going to attack, affirmatively believed Putin was going to attack. So Vlad had prepared to evacuate his family. At the time, his daughter was 3 years old, and his wife, he did not want his 3-year-old daughter in the middle of a bombing raid. Kharkiv was, along with Mariupol, were the two cities that were bombed the hardest by Russia at the beginning. So really did not want his family there. Took his family to southwestern Ukraine, to a town called Uzhgorod, or Uzhhorod, however they pronounce it, in southwestern Ukraine, and he's now reporting from there. Vlad has been helping us. We've been doing a lot of fundraising with this on TikTok and Discord and everywhere else, and YouTube, for Ukrainian humanitarian aid, but also helping the military. We've not been buying weapons, although I'm fine with buying weapons, but we've not. But we've been, helping with their drones, getting extenders for the drones. Lately, we've been raising money for camouflage nets, which... Oh, I've got my camouflage net over there, one of which I actually have that Vlad sent me. But we've been raising money to help the Ukrainian military make their camouflage nets. We've raised money for children with disabilities. We've raised money for children in hospices, children who were dying, families that needed food, because during the bombing raids, in general with the war now. Local stores have either been destroyed or they're completely, the economy's been disrupted. So people living in rural areas don't have food. So we've been helping feed them through all sorts of different work. And Vlad has been our coordinator in Ukraine doing that, and also in touch with the military as well. So Vlad is also up on all the military stuff to the point where he has to be careful what he tells us because Vlad knows more than we're supposed to know. And he's very careful about the information, the operational security aspect, which is good. So Vlad, I was just mentioning to folks the counteroffensive. The way I've been maybe phrasing it is the counteroffensive moved into stage 2 this week, according to U.S. officials talking to the Washington Post. They did a big sort of story saying that at least for right now, the Ukrainians have put a lot more troops and a lot more weapons into Zaporizhia, which is the battle that was happening around here. Now, mind you, there's still some battles here in Kherson, a lot of battles here around Donetsk, a lot of battles here around Bakhmut, a little bit up here too, because the Russians are causing some trouble up here at Kupiansk. But that this one here, at least for now, the Ukrainians decided to put a lot more troops and a lot more weapons into. And I'm just wondering, is there anything you're hearing about that at all that you could share with us?
About exactly Zaporizhia?
Just in general, this... Yeah.
Because just in general, one of the latest video, which I think you also see,
he's in the mountains and his internet isn't great, which we are now witnessing. Oh, actually, it froze on. Sorry, guys. He's in the mountains in Ukraine, so we're going to have little glitches. He actually froze on Discord too. So,
guys,
there.
To whom? Okay. What's
Vlad. Yeah. I was exactly. You froze for about half a minute. Okay, start again. I think you should turn off your video. I think, Vlad, you know what? Turn off your video. Try turning off your video on TikTok and see if it helps.
Let me.
Yeah. Sorry.
Let's try.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Vlad is reporting from the mountains in Ukraine. So thank you, Jeddah. So normally he's in the city, so the connection's fine. But in the mountains, it's a little glitchier.
Sorry, my mother-in-law come to Uzhgorod, and that's why we have to go to the mountains.
Blame the technical problems on the mother-in-law. Even in Ukraine, it's the same old story.
Yes, exactly. You understand me absolutely.
Actually, everyone is saying that the connection is sounding much better on TikTok without the video so far.
Okay. Maybe I will find another place with better connection, but not now. And I just have a talk yesterday with the guys to whom we help with these extenders for the drone, and they exactly working in Zaporizhia, and they exactly deoccupied this city, this latest city from the Zaporizhia. So situation became much more stable and much more controlled than it was before, exactly because mines and mines fields almost finished from the Russians.
In Zaporizhia?
In Zaporizhia region, yeah.
Oh.
That was the main problem for past months. One of the innovations which these men provided to me, they start blowing up exactly mines field by the drones, and that's much more effective. So yeah, they use these small these small candies from the drones, which cause blowing up mines. A pretty smart idea. Yeah.
But is it like I mean, again, wait, Vlad, stop, let me just ask you again. And as always, you know well enough to stop if you're telling too much. So I will ask you too much. I will ask you too much, but don't answer too much. So are you talking something like a cluster munition or what?
Yes, yes, cluster munition, and also we use regular drones, but against mines, not against Russian soldiers or Russian.
Yes, but wouldn't
mines.
Yes, but my question is, wouldn't a drone just drop one bomb? So wouldn't one bomb blow up one mine and that's it?
It depends on the size.
Okay.
Blow up. But
okay.
Also, you know, mines.
Huh.
Let me start video very quickly,
yeah.
Because I want to. So
okay.
mines located. Let's try this one. Let's check. Maybe internet connection better right now. Mines. That's not, you know, only one mine. It cluster of mines, and
okay.
usually if something blowing up exactly in the field, it causes blowing up not only one mines but several mines.
Okay.
And that's enough to check road, for example, to check some blog posts or check some how it's named. I don't know. The same in English. Defense point, something like this one. You know what is this one? Some of the check control point and the defense point, something like that.
Okay, sorry, I was messaging Callum because Callum is an expert on this, and I'd like to get him to join us if he's around, but we'll see. Go on.
Yeah. So this mines field's almost finishing, and we destroy a lot of mines for past months. We can say right now this publicly.
Wow.
Because a lot of videos how drones operate with this one and everything else. We can say this one, and that's cause that we start counteroffensive of some big cities and big villages.
Okay. Oh, go on. Yep.
The next step will be trenches.
Right. Okay.
I don't have any expectations, and militaries also don't have any expectations about trenches, how it goes. But
right.
Up to now, let's check. We will check in a couple of weeks how we will go with trenches. You remember that I share with you a map where all trenches are showing up, how Russians create trenches in the Ukraine.
I've seen it. Yes, I've seen it a few times. It's a lot. Yeah. Callum's. You know what, Callum? Actually, Vlad. Callum just joined us now. Just so you know, Callum. Actually, Callum, do you want to? I'm not going to tell folks. I don't know. I was going to say. Well, I think it's fair to say Callum knows a lot about the mine issue. He's joined in and been able to share a lot of information with us before. I would say he's probably the best expert we have among anybody who's joined us about mines. Callum, one thing that Vlad was just saying is that in talking to his friends, and he said this is okay to share, right? That this is not a problem, but that they have been able to. Okay, there you go. Explosives. Vlad is a former explosives tech with the military. Callum. Excuse me, Callum. What he was saying, Callum, is they have pretty much gotten through the minefield in Zaporizhia this week, and they have now moved on to dealing with the trenches, which are going to be a problem. But in dealing with the mines, he said one of the ways they did this was using drones. And I was a little surprised that dropping any kind of a bomb from a drone would make any difference. He was saying that a lot of the mines are near each other, so they set off a chain reaction. I was just curious, I don't know, just what you know about, I know, mind you, actually, you know what, Callum? Do you mind, I know you don't like to go public, do you mind joining us on camera a second? Because you can, I can invite you, and you could go on camera if you want to just join us for a second talking about this, because I think it might be interesting. So 1 second, Vlad, and we'll see. Actually, you know what I'll do? I will invite Callum, and you can always decline. We can do it. We can do it that way. Hang on. I'm gonna. Oh, I'm not decent. Okay, yeah, 5 minutes. Good. Vlad will continue, and Callum will join us in 5 minutes. Okay. Okay. Well, you know what? I will send the invite and see if the invite stays. Hang on a second, Callum.
No, John. Invite
yeah, so
stays
go on.
only for 90 seconds.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. Then go ahead. All right. So Vlad will keep explaining, and then I wouldn't mind Callum talking a little bit with you, Vlad, about drones and all of that. Okay. So Vlad. So just to tell folks on TikTok, so Vlad is our friend in Ukraine who we talk to almost every week. Thank you, Martin, for that. And Vlad is talking to us about the counteroffensive, the big stage 2 that was launched this week, much more intense, more troops, more weapons, and how in the Zaporizhia region, where they're focusing on specifically, they were able to use drones, among other things, to get rid of the minefields. And it looks like the minefields may be... let me rephrase this. The Ukrainian troops have cut a path through the minefields. They don't need to destroy the whole minefield, right? This is the minefield. You don't need to destroy the whole minefield. You only need a path. Once you get a path, all the troops can go through the path. I mean, maybe not all, right? So they've cut a good path through the minefield, and now they're beyond the mines, and they're dealing with trenches. We did see the one video, Vlad, that was going around of one Ukrainian tank. It was a little strange, because it was one tank and it was in the open, and the experts were saying this is a little weird, but one Ukrainian tank coming up to the trenches and coming up to the Dragon's Teeth, which are these big cement blocks that are meant to stop tanks.
Yes.
So go on, Vlad. Yeah.
Yes, I also checked this.
And Vlad is in the mountains in Ukraine, so the audio is going to freeze occasionally. Go on, Vlad.
Okay, let's turn off my camera again. That's better.
Yep.
And also let me turn off camera in the Discord. Exactly about this one, about this tank and with some beton defenses.
Right.
I have no idea what is this happening. We have rumors, but that's only rumors.
Of what?
That we have that some of the tanks can be operating like a drones by radio control in Ukraine.
Okay.
But
okay.
that's just a rumors.
Right.
No proofs and nothing at
Right.
all.
Right.
I know a lot of examples when Russians use something like tanks kamikaze or something like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we saw that.
Russian use this one for the demines and for the attacking. Also, they include some explosions to this one and everything else.
Right.
But exactly about Ukrainians, especially me, I haven't heard.
Interesting. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Now, so in terms of the trenches, is that still something? And again, Callum can talk to us about this too. In terms of the Ukrainians now coming up to the trenches, is that something where it again is actually, from what I remember, going through trenches, they've got to go through each trench. They've got to go through each trench and clear it. It's not like they could just drive over the trenches with their tanks and be done with it, because the trenches are full of the Russians.
Sorry, John, I continue try to find place in the hotel.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Vlad is joining us from Ukraine, and he is in the mountains, so the connection is kind of back and forth a little bit. So, but what he was... Yep.
You know, before go to the mountains, better to have one Starlink, which I get to the military.
Yeah, true.
But
Yeah.
I hope Starlink.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
I have one Starlink in the office just for the work purpose.
Yeah.
But exactly in Uzhgorod, unfortunately, it works not well at all. It works very, very slow. I have no idea why, but it works not good.
That's right. So anyway, yeah, so the trenches. So they're going after the trenches, and the trench work is slow because I had heard previously they've got to go through each trench individually to clear the Russians out of the trenches.
Yes. Trenches always work slow.
Okay.
That's a typical story.
But that's still good though, because I did not realize that they had pretty much gotten through the mines, so that's good. And by the way, that is also an explanation. Sorry, real quick. That is also an explanation for why the Ukrainians kicked into stage 2 this week. Because we were saying, why is it that they? Thank you, Pam. Why is it that they chose now, right? To kick in this stage 2 with more troops and more weapons? It's because, as we talked about, probing the different areas, and then whichever area they get an opening, and in this case in Zaporizhia, they were able to get through the main minefield. They have an opening, so they're going to use it. So now they're putting a lot more troops and a lot more weapons in that break in the minefield that they've been able to create, which is good because they're moving further south. And the goal, I'll show people again, the goal where they're fighting in Zaporizhia, more or less around here. There's some over a little bit east too, but more or less around, I'll say this wide area here. The goal, we believe, which is public, so I'm not sharing anything here, meaning the Russians know this, is to take this town of Tokmak here and then come down to Melitopol. Once you get Melitopol, you're pretty much on the water. And this ends up cutting this landmass in half. Well, what happens with this? The Russians control all of this. If you cut this in half, you cut the Russian occupation in half. And then what do? You blow up the Kerch Bridge again, and now these two provinces, Kherson and Crimea, are 100% cut off from the Russians. They're not getting supplies, they're not getting fuel, they're not getting food, they're not getting anything. It's some food, but still, it's a disaster for the Russian troops. And then Ukraine goes crazy on getting Kherson. So, anyway, this is good news. This is good news. Vlad, any more?
Yes, I'm here.
Yep.
What's more? About trenches also I have some
Right. Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh. Vlad, 1 second. Vlad, 1 second. Some folks are saying they're having a hard time hearing you on TikTok. I'm going to turn up the volume here a second and listen, but for some reason, talk a second on TikTok. Yeah, I'm not hearing anything on.
Now?
Talk again?
And now?
You're not coming through on TikTok at all. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I just turned up the volume. Deb is saying now.
Because I see my microphone is working.
Okay, now they're saying they're hearing you on TikTok. Okay. Thanks for letting me know, folks.
Okay.
If it happens again, all of you chime in, so at least I see a lot of comments and then I know. All right. Go ahead, Vlad.
Seems to I find place finally with signal.
Okay. Yeah, Vlad, just a reminder, Vlad is in the mountains in Ukraine right now, so the internet connection at the hotel he's at is a bit iffy. But yeah.
Actually, at this hotel, initially I thinking about joining you by cell network, but no cell network at all in the hotel. That's good. I like such places without cell network at all.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay, and the latest what I have to say about trenches, from other hand, our soldiers much more professional and to work at the trenches than Russian soldiers. So exactly buildings, yes, engineering of the trenches for Russians are better than the Ukrainian, but exactly work for soldiers. Our soldiers is better at that.
They're saying, Vlad, they're saying you moved away from the mic again. Did you change something?
Okay,
Did you move away?
Let's try now.
All right, TikTokers, give me feedback. Keep talking, Vlad.
1, 2, 3, 4. Ukrainian is the best country.
There you go. All right, it's good now. It's good again. Good again. Okay, good.
Okay,
Very good.
John, seems to I have our regular problem when unfortunately microphone connected only from phone, but not exactly from the headphones.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. That's okay. That's okay. Keep going. So, okay, so the other thing they were telling you about trenches?
Yeah, that's all. I finished actually.
I didn't hear. I couldn't hear you. What did you say? What else did they tell you about?
Okay.
Oh, just that they. Oh, I see. That the Russian trenches were built better, but the actual Ukrainian techniques of being the Ukrainian troops are more professional in how they use the trenches or what they're doing.
Yes.
Ah,
exactly,
okay.
Exactly.
Got you. Yes, and correct. Katie is adding a point here. Now, at the beginning of the war, the Russians were screwing this up, but now they've done a better job. One thing I learned about trenches: you want a trench to be built like this, so to speak. Okay, a little less crazy, because if a bomb gets dropped here, let me show you. If a bomb gets dropped here, it explodes this way, but then the wall of the trench stops it from getting these guys. So if you actually, even more so, you'd potentially do a lot of bends in the trench. And the idea is just that you end up having to bomb here and here and here and here, because if you do a straight line, you can bomb anywhere on the line and the shrapnel can go this far. So that's why trenches, you will see, are always making these very sharp right 90-degree angles. And at the beginning of the war, actually, the Russians were screwing this up, which the Russians know better, but I remember seeing examples and people were saying that's crazy. That the Russians are doing this, but now they were very smart in how they built the trenches. I mean, not very smart. Like I said, even I know this. It's not a great secret, but the Russians, being Russians, were screwing it up. Okay, Callum actually is here now. Okay, Callum, I'm going to invite you. If I can find you, that's going to be fun. Goddamn TikTok. It only shows me like 8 people I can invite. Why? Who the hell knows? It's so weird. Actually, Callum, go and ask to join the conversation. See if it lets you. It's really annoying. What is that thing? Live show? A live show? Oh, that's weird. Yep. Sorry, folks. We're going to beam Callum in because he's our mine expert. Doesn't let you? You don't have enough followers. I will bet you don't have enough followers. God, I hate TikTok sometimes. Come on, TikTok. Don't be a pain in the ass. Manage moderator access. No. Block, mute, report. Does anybody know TikTok well enough to know why I can't add Callum as a guest? It's pissing me off. See, it shows me about 10 of you guys, 10 or 12 of you that I can add as guests. Why is it, Deb? I mean, that's ridiculous. You have to have 1,000 followers. I'm going to contact somebody about this. This is pissing me off. Because that is a ridiculous issue. If you are bringing in guests from the outside, they're not going to have 1,000 followers. Vlad, do you have 1,000 now? I forgot. We had to do that with you too, didn't we? Or didn't we? Oh, Vlad froze again on us. Well, Callum's going to have to type fast. God, that pisses me off. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So you guys do? I'm trying to look here. Actually, yep, I'm looking at the ones. You're right. Everyone who's showing up in my list has over 1,000 followers. Yep, I'm looking at you guys. Yep, Jackie, Baby Shoe. Oh, Baby Shoe's got 255 followers. And it says I can invite Baby Shoe. How's that for crazy? That's crazy. Yeah, Baby Shoe, 250. All the rest have over 1,000, but not Baby Shoe. Vlad does. All right, whatever. Pain in the ass. All right, just write. Yeah, Vlad. Just actually. Oh, you know what? Well, Vlad, you know what we can do? Not Vlad. I mean Callum. Go on. Callum, go on the Discord. I'll make you a guest. You can at least speak on Discord, and there's a chance people will be able to hear you on the iPad as well, on TikTok as well. Do that. Yeah, do that, Callum. Go on Discord, join the chat, and I'll make you a guest along with Vlad. Too bad. This is annoying, though, because TikTok ought to do this. This is obnoxious. Because if you're bringing in guests, first, I've mentioned this before, too. If you're bringing in guests from the outside, this is way too difficult. You know? On other systems, you just go boom and they get through. You know? Okay, thanks, Callum. You know, other people, you give them a link and they're a guest. TikTok has got to figure this out. Anyway, folks, just to remind folks on TikTok, so we're talking to my friend Vlad, who's right over there, who is in Ukraine. And Vlad is our... I don't have a multi-guest button. I have a guest button, which is BS because it ought to say multi-guest. Yeah. No, I've got it. I think it is.
Maybe I'll try to disconnect and then you try to invite Column.
You can try. Yeah, try. Let's try. Although Callum's on the other one anyway. Well, we can try. Just for fun. Vlad is still there.
How to disconnect? Yeah.
All right. Let me see if it lets me here now. I doubt it will. No, it's not going to show me Callum. It's ridiculous. No, I'm just going to invite Vlad back. All right, that's fine. All right, Callum, I'm going to try to add you in here. Why is it not showing me Callum? Oh, there you are. Okay. All right, hang on a second. Invite to speak. All right. All right. I'm inviting Vlad to speak on Discord. Not Vlad, Callum. Invite to speak. All right, I've invited you, Callum. It's supposed to work. It won't let Callum hit it. Oh, shit me. Hold, that's, This is a syndicate question. Hang on a second. This is such bullshit. Vlad, I'm going to remove you as a speaker for a second. Move to audience and see if it lets me move Callum. Invite to speak. Okay, Callum, now take a look. Is it letting you do it now? I want to see if it's only letting one speaker at a time, which is crazy, but... The other thing to try, if it's not doing that, is you ask me, or are you already doing that? You're asking me if you can speak? Raise your hand, so to speak. Oh, invite. No. Oh, invite friends to the stage. Let's try this. Oh, you're not my friend? Okay. I'm going to friend you right now, Callum, as well. Oh, there you are. Not sure what you did, but it worked now. Okay, you're on there. Jesus Christ, that was loud. Oh, I need to unplug this now. All right. All right, Callum. I was hearing Callum. No, I'm not. Anybody else hearing him?
Can everybody hear me now?
Yes.
So if I go into the chat bar, you can't hear me.
Yes, and I'm unplugged this mic too. So bizarre. All right, guys. So Discord, folks. We've got Callum. Callum. Well, there's going to be an echo. Don't even. You know. Callum, talk a second, and I want to make sure the YouTube folks can hear you.
Yeah, if everyone can hear me, then hello, I'm Callum.
Is it good enough on TikTok? Well, it's going to be muffled. That's not really the issue. I mean, you know.
I think, John, with microphone, it works better.
With my microphone on?
Before you turn off microphone.
Oh, interesting.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
hold on. I'm going to put on my microphone.
It works better.
Makes it better. All right, Callum, talk again.
Hello, how's that?
Well, give a longer sentence than 3 words.
Oh, This is a longer sentence at the request of John.
All right, TikTokers? Much better. Okay, good. All right. They say that's good enough. Okay. A voice to connect to the snark, according to Cheryl.
That was not nice.
So, Callum, one of the things that was interesting with all of this is, and Vlad, I'll have to hear, well, actually, you know what? I've got to, let me see if it lets me invite Vlad back to the stage as well. Hopefully I can invite two people. There we go. Now we got Vlad too. That's good. Callum, so what Vlad was talking about earlier, Vlad, for TikTok folks, is in southwestern Ukraine. He's from northeastern Ukraine, but was talking to his soldier friends this week, and they have been able to pretty much break through the minefield in Zaporizhia, which is why one of the reasons they've now done this sort of stage 2 of the counteroffensive, where they're putting much more troops and much more weapons into going south, but they've now passed the minefield, and he was saying one of the ways they did it was using drones. And I was just curious, how the hell, I mean, he was mentioning about chain reactions of one big bomb taking out a drone, one big bomb from a drone taking out a mine and taking out other mines. I mean, clearly it worked, but is that the kind of thing that makes sense? I mean...
Yes, so one of the ways that you would dispose of explosives is with other explosives.
Right.
It's actually usually the safest way to do so.
Right.
So the reason something like a cluster bomb is more ineffective is the failure rates of cluster bombs. And most cluster bombs quite often drop little minelets.
Right.
Right. But if you drop something with a kind of high impact yield, you can effectively shake and detonate mines in that area. And with the Russians being the way that they are, if they hit them too close together, which they will have because they'll try to overdo it, it can just create a chain reaction.
Oh, I didn't even think, okay, now that makes sense. Now that's something I didn't think of. I was thinking, why are they putting them together? Why wouldn't they spread them out? But you're right. If some idiot thought, hey, we've got more time, because the counteroffensive was delayed because the Ukrainians were waiting for more weapons. So they said, we've got more time. Let's put twice as many mines. Well, if you've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mines, they may be far enough apart that one mine goes off and the other doesn't. If you put 10 mines in the same space, now the mines are so close that one sets off the other and they all go off.
Yeah, there's supposed to be appropriate spacing between mines.
Oh, funny. Well, or maybe you want a couple mines to be close, but that's it. So that one goes off and 2 and 3 go off nearby, but not every single mine in the field.
Yeah, you ideally want them to go individually.
You do, okay. I guess because if you set off a mine, obviously you're close enough that the one mine will hurt you anyway.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, that's interesting. So they're able to use the drone. Well, then maybe also somebody tried it with the drone and went, holy crap. Every other mine went off. Let's keep doing this.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. Okay. Now, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much you are up on everything else with sort of the Russian defenses, but Vlad was saying they got through the minefield in Zaporizhia and now they're heading for the trenches.
Yes.
Go on.
So, from what I'd seen previously, the minefields were first followed by anti-tank Dragon's Teeth,
right,
and kind of anti-tank trenches, and then there'll be the kind of the troop trenches as well.
Okay, so there's trenches that are built to actually, in principle, stop tanks and vehicles from going because they get stuck in the trench. But then there's other trenches that are actually the manned trenches where the Russians can hide inside and fire out and all of this.
You'll have them be referred to as tank pitches.
Tank trenches, okay. And for the manned trenches, we were saying, is there really any alternative other than going through them person by person and Ukrainian troops literally having to go through each trench and clear them out?
Oh, you could cluster bomb it.
But I thought cluster bombs you were saying might not be efficient. Oh no, cluster bombs for trenches you said isn't a terrible idea. It's cluster bombs from...
Cluster bombs in trenches are efficient.
Okay. Now, let me ask you though, because...
Go on. Sorry, things like cluster busting... bunker busting bombs will also be effective.
Because a bunker busting bomb is a super large bomb, so you're saying it has enough explosive that all the trenches in the area would get collapsed or whatever, or hurt.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Now, I don't know whether the Ukrainians have any bunker busting bombs, do they?
Yes.
Ah, that's good. Okay. He says coyly. Okay, good. Okay, that's interesting then. All right. So who knows? So this may or may not be a manual trench by trench. They probably would then try the cluster bombs first. Now, the only issue with cluster bombs is, are you not creating a danger for the troops themselves if they're cluster bombing an area that they then have to walk through?
Yeah, it depends on the type of cluster bombs they're being given. So I believe they've been given cluster bombs that have got bomblets rather than minelets.
Okay.
So, the American ones, they've got a failure rate of like 1 or 2%.
Right.
So it's minimal. There is going to be casualties. There is going to be deaths on the Ukrainian side. It's just a fact of war.
Right.
But if you were to smash it with cluster munitions,
Right.
various munitions, and then storm it really quick, you could be very effective in clearing large areas quickly.
Okay, sorry. So just to put a finer point on it. So if you're using these bomblets instead of minelets, so bombs instead of mines dropping from the cluster, is there less of a chance that if you step on a dud that it's not going to explode?
Yeah.
Because it's not a mine. It's actually a little bomb that is supposed to go off, and if it doesn't go off, it doesn't go off.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so then do we know that Ukraine has gotten one or the other publicly?
I believe the American versions that they got were bomblets.
Okay, which are safer, so to speak. Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
that's
it's
okay.
no more dangerous than an unexploded artillery shell.
Okay, which in principle shouldn't be dangerous, right?
Yeah, they're not fun. Wouldn't give them to your kids.
Right. But they're not easy to set off is my point. Yeah.
No.
Oh, good. Oh, okay, then that is interesting. Okay, that's very interesting. Okay. Huh. Okay, good. So, but I guess who knows how long it takes them to... Well, the trenches... Okay, here's a question for you. Why do they have to clear the trenches at all? Why not just drive over the trenches with your tanks and leave them behind? Or are they going to pop up and fire with an anti-tank weapon and destroy you?
Well, the trenches are full of Russians.
Yep.
So the more dead Russians, the less Russians that are available to push back.
Yes, but I guess is the problem that, because you could always just plow through them, but the problem is once you plow through them, they pop up with an anti-tank weapon and shoot you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That was my question. I was saying, like, you could just drive through and keep going if your goal is to get to the coast, but you've got to clear them out because otherwise they're regrouping and or even worse, not even worse, they could also regroup behind you and now they've surrounded you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, what we've seen, this is some of the video we saw of, we believe, Wargonzo, who's the Russian military blogger who we think was killed about a month ago. And you see the Russians, or the Ukrainian soldier going through the trench, and he's got a camera on, and you're literally, it's like a video game. You literally see him, going through, walking, the camera angle, going through each trench, left, right, and then as soon as he sees somebody, he has to shoot, and then go to the next angle and shoot. And literally each corner he's taking, there's somebody, or as he's approaching a corner, somebody pops out. It literally, I don't mean a video game to minimize, I mean, it is literally like a video game in terms of to give you a sense of what it is. It was fascinating to watch. Scary, obviously, and weird, because you're literally watching, people get killed. But it was fascinating, though, almost, I would say, terrifying, the moment by moment, either he pops out or you pop out, and it doesn't stop. Very scary. Sorry?
Kill or be killed.
Yeah, exactly. Really fascinating. What else is there? Do people have a question for Vlad or for?
I want to comment a bit about. So huge.
It's okay. Don't worry.
Okay.
About existing trenches, about what is the trenches we are talking about. I try to share with Discord one of the image about trenches, and that's about if we come to Richmond. This trenches, that's not for the troops, that's like a defense anti-tank system.
Ah. Okay. Okay. Now, yeah, go on.
First line, what exactly beton, blocks from the beton.
And second line,
That's a big trench where tank
can be dropped to the trench.
Okay, that's interesting. Ah, okay. So, but I'm sorry, but you're saying the trenches are more anti-tank trenches than personnel-filled trenches, correct?
The first time, yes.
So, okay, so more of an anti-tank. Now, to take out the anti-tank trenches, well, potentially use bombs to even it off. Also, they've got, I know I've seen the little bridge, the bridging thing they've got to make roads over trenches and things, right?
Yeah, if I can interject here as well.
Yep.
The tanks supplied by the British, the Challenger 2s, they were equipped with the anti-trenching kits.
Sorry, say that again. I didn't understand. What was equipped with what?
They were equipped with the anti-trenching kits,
Okay.
which is basically a bulldozer on the front.
Okay. And now are those kits where they actually have the roads that lay over trenches, or are they explosives, or what are they?
No, it's a bulldozer,
A bulldozer. Okay.
like a big shovel on the front.
Okay. Oh, I see. Vlad is sharing a picture on Discord. Yep.
Yes.
And what is this, Vlad? A picture of the trench?
That's a schema, map of the trenches, black line, that's a trench, that's Russians.
Okay.
Russian trenches.
Hold on.
Photos exactly from this
location.
White one,
All right, I will.
That's exactly beton blocks.
I will show folks on TikTok the
And
picture Vlad is sharing.
These blocks,
Trenches started.
All right, so all right, so go ahead. I'll show people here, Vlad. So Vlad was saying that the black, you see the little black marker lines. Those are the trenches. Now, what's yellow? What's red? What's gray?
red, that's Russia. Temporarily Russian territory.
Yellow's Ukraine.
Gray zone, that's exactly yellow, that's official line. Gray, that's exactly like gray zone. Not the Russian, not Ukrainian.
Okay.
And this photos exactly made from the door to where it's located.
Okay.
In this photo, white line, that's a big beton anti-tank block.
Ah.
Right after this block.
Okay.
Exactly trenches started. This like
I
dark
see.
line. Do you see right?
Yeah. So are you saying the white? Are you saying the white line at the bottom of the gray
System works.
is the
Yeah.
And what is that again? The white line bordering the bottom of the gray. What is it?
White line, that's a big beton blocks which you see.
Go to this block.
That's exactly
this anti-tank blocks.
Oh, you mean the dragon's teeth we say in English?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm sorry. He's talking. You're talking in the photo. I thought you meant on here. Yeah, in the photo you see the white. You see that white line at the bottom of the photo. Those are so you see the trench before it, the line, and then the white little dots in a row like a little beaded necklace are dragon's teeth. Those are, I will Google and show you. They are triangles of cement sticking out of the ground that can stop tanks, but Callum was telling me that actually Challenger tanks, which are the British tanks, and some of the others, some of the American tanks, do not get stopped by them, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's the bulldozer that helps.
So, I mean, here's an example for you guys to see. So you see these blocks sticking out of the ground. I'll show you guys. Now, why do Dragon's Teeth stop tanks? I mean, why can't they just drive over them?
It's the angle's too sharp.
Okay, but our tanks and your tanks, the British tanks, can?
Yeah, so there's a video of the Ukrainians being trained on the Challenger 2 tanks.
Right.
And one of the modules they have to do is like a dragon tooth
Okay.
kind of course.
How does that help? Because they're only getting, what, 30 or something Challenger tanks or whatever they're getting. They're only getting a handful of American tanks. If those tanks can breach the Dragon's Teeth but nobody else can, aren't they isolated?
I think the Leopards can too.
Okay. Oh, so the Leopards can't. Okay, but nonetheless, all the rest of your vehicles can't get through.
You only need the tank to push them out the way.
Okay, the tanks get through, and then what happens? What do you mean? Why isn't everybody else stuck behind?
Well, what happens is the tank effectively pushes the Dragon's Teeth out the way.
Oh, it doesn't just go over them.
No, it goes through them.
I'm sorry, I thought it went over them. Okay, gotcha. Okay, interesting. Okay, then that makes sense then. So the tanks, so it's, excuse me, it's just like they do with the minefields. I was telling folks, if you've got a long minefield, you don't need to, minefield, you don't need to blow up the entire minefield. You just have to cut a path through the minefield and everybody else follows. So the same thing here. If 2, 3, 4, whatever tanks can go and move the Dragon's Teeth out of the way, now you've cut a path for everything to get through the Dragon's Teeth. Vlad, were you going to say something?
No.
Okay.
You
Callum?
can also destroy the Dragon's Teeth.
You just fire at them?
Yeah, they're just concrete.
Now, somebody was sharing yesterday, and I had read this before too, that there were some concerns, but in a good way, that the Russians weren't putting the Dragon's Teeth up correctly. They weren't linking them or something, or wire or something they were doing wasn't really done well.
Yeah, so you get different types of Dragon's Teeth. Some of them can be bound together with steel wire.
Right.
And the idea is that increases the weight. So you can't really just move them out of the way.
Oh, you're starting to push one, and if it's hooked to 3 others, you've now got the weight of the other 3 that are being dragged with it.
Yeah, so if you've got, a surface area of 10 of these at 2 tons each, you're trying to push 20
Yep.
against the resistance of the earth that it's on.
Got you. Okay. Interesting. Well, then it also means if you can get troops to go up there and cut the wires, but again, if they don't get shot. Yeah. But do either of you have any idea what Vlad shared the photo? In the photo, there was a video going around, the photos from the video, of a single Ukrainian vehicle, tank we assume, coming up and crossing a trench heading towards the Dragon's Teeth. Why was it going by itself in the open? Some of the military experts were saying that looked a little stupid.
Not the best idea.
Yeah. But I mean, any idea what they thought they were doing? Stupid because they're in the open and they're going to get blown up.
Yeah, well, it depends what they're in. If they're in something like a Challenger, it's depleted uranium armor. It's pretty hard for them to destroy. Like I said, all you need is someone to punch through the line.
So he's punching. So he may have been there to punch through. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, are you guys giving your Challengers with depleted uranium? Because the Americans are removing their depleted uranium armor.
Yeah, they've been sent with depleted uranium rounds, and the Challengers have Chubam armor.
But I mean, you don't have. No, I'm sorry. I meant depleted uranium armor. You don't have the armor, do you?
Yeah, Chubam armor is depleted uranium.
Okay, because the Americans are removing it from their tanks that they're giving.
Yeah, the Americans are born.
Yeah, typical of us. So the Brits are giving the better armor. We're removing it because we're, us. Very interesting.
we only have 100 tanks.
What, total?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. And how many are you giving? 30 or something, or 34? Or what was the number?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Well, I think we gave 24.
24. Okay, I see. I didn't realize you only had 100. So that's quite a lot, actually, then.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, for you and Vlad both, you know, you hear about the Brits giving 24 tanks, and they're great tanks. The Americans are going to give 31, and they're great tanks. The Abrams, they're going to get, the Ukrainians are supposed to get 6 to 8 of the Abrams tanks maybe in September. Do we care about getting 6 to 8 tanks? Do we care about 24 tanks? Is that I mean, what do you do with it? I mean, that's great, but, right, it's not like it's 150 or 300.
Well, a Challenger 2 has never been destroyed.
Okay.
And as far as I'm led to believe, neither is an Abrams. It's never been destroyed by enemy fire.
Right.
So if that tank can wipe out, 5 other tanks on the Russian side,
right,
because the Russians' vehicles are far less effective.
Right. And the distance, they can fire much farther than the Russian vehicles. So,
Yeah.
so you, in other words, the range question. In other words, the Russian. Just to tell people, the American tanks or the British tanks, for example. Here's a Russian. Here's the American. The Brit. The American to the Brit comes to here, and now the Russian tank is in range. But for the Russian tank, its range only goes to here. So all of a sudden, the Brits or the Americans can hit the Russian tank, but if the Russian tank fires back, it can only fire to here. So they're able to get within range. Their range is much longer, so they're able to potentially take out the Russians when the Russians can't hit back, at least not with tanks.
Yeah. The optics and things like that on the Challenger 2, things like auto tracking, so they can fire out of sight of the Russians and out of range of the Russians.
Right.
And just literally destroy their equipment.
Do you need several tanks? What I mean is, if you're receiving, this is Cal, I'm just guessing, of course, but if you're receiving, like we said, 6 to 8 American Abrams tanks in September, do you bunch them together or do you spread them out to different units?
Oh, that's a hard question.
I mean, one tank potentially still is helpful with a unit because, like you said, you might put that tank ahead to start to blow up the other tanks and things from a distance.
Yeah, you would put like a tank with maybe 4 or 5 Bradleys.
Okay. But what about the Russian helicopters? Aren't the Russian helicopters going to take out your tank?
Good luck.
It'll be difficult for them to do.
Yeah, so the British tanks are equipped with Hellfire missiles,
Okay.
which can take out a helicopter.
Ah, okay, that gets it. Now, is the range good enough? Because the helicopters have a range of like 15 miles, I read.
Hellfire's range is, I think, 19 miles.
Ooh, okay, so now you're getting interesting. Okay. So the helicopter, yeah, go on.
The sensible choice to do, if you've got a high-value asset like a Challenger tank, is you keep lower-value assets around it, and you use it as part of, this is where combined warfare comes in. And you have people with stingers, maybe some javelins, you've got your Bradleys.
Right.
They don't just go out on their own into the world.
Right. You combined the defense. Now, I was reading, by the way, some complaints yesterday that the Ukrainians are not doing as well as we might hope for the combined arms. Basically, just to tell folks, the idea is exactly what Callum is saying. Not typically, the Russians would do this, and Ukrainians were taught by the Russians to just sort of each thing operates potentially independently. So, you take the tanks, and let's attack with tanks. Whereas what the West does, what NATO does, is this combined arms training, which is exactly what Callum is saying, where, okay, you're using the tank. You want to surround it with these other vehicles, Bradley fighting vehicles. You want to have men with Stinger missiles. You combine the arms. You combine the different weapon systems together into one unit because each is doing a different thing and one is protecting it and blah, blah, blah. I was reading yesterday some complaints that the Ukrainians aren't doing as well as we had hoped, that unfortunately, some of the old habits are dying hard, that they may not have been doing so well with the combined execution.
Yeah, I think the Russians are going to have to do a lot of training.
What do you mean?
I think they're going to have to do a lot of training. I think they're going to have to do a lot of training. I think they're going to have to do a lot of training. I think they're going to have to do a lot of training. I think they're going to have to do a lot of training. I think they're going to have to do a lot of training. I think they're going to have to do a lot of training. I think they're going to have to do a lot of training. I think they're going to have to do a lot of training. I think they're going to have to do a lot of training. I think they're going to have to do a lot of training. I think they're going to have to do a lot of training. I think they're going to have to do a lot of training. I think they're going to have to do a lot of training. I think they're going to have to do a lot of training. I think they're going to have to do a lot of training. I think they're going to have to do a lot of training. I think they're going to have to do a lot of training. I think they're going to have to do a
Just throwing it out there.
I heard,
John, I heard absolutely opposite.
Oh, good. What did you hear?
Mentioned, yeah, exactly.
the
The problem is that Bradley and tanks what we get, we share with so many brigades,
and that's cause
and that's causes a problem.
Sorry, Vlad, say that again. I'm not understanding the words you were saying.
okay, exactly.
Exactly
All tanks
and all brigades what we have,
it share with
a lot of brigades, but they don't have a one power,
one power unit.
Okay.
So share
two pieces
for one brigade,
Gotcha.
3 pieces for another brigade,
Okay.
and everything else.
So Vlad is saying that the weapons they're getting from the West, like the Bradley fighting vehicles, the tanks, they're being spread out everywhere so that it's not like they've formed one really good unit. They've got everything spread out, so it's only making a marginal difference in each unit. Now, I did, by the way, a couple months ago, I read the same thing a few months ago. I had read that the tanks they were getting were being spread out everywhere. That the Leopards they were getting from the Germans and everybody else. That's what I had read, but I wasn't sure what the impact was.
And exactly
from the captains, from the commanders, from the head of the brigades, from the head of the groups,
Yep.
I heard that they don't like such a decision.
Oh, interesting. Who's making the decision, of the higher ups?
have no
I assume,
idea.
but it's high up. Yeah.
Maybe Залужный.
Maybe Залужный.
Okay.
Maybe Залужный. Maybe someone else. I don't know.
Generals.
Okay.
Generals, I think.
Right. You were saying you heard something else? Or no?
No,
I think so. We split, and they're much related to the NATO.
War in the
small tactic groups, I mean.
But exactly.
Sorry, say
But exactly for counteroffensive,
that's not so
good decision.
Sorry, say that again, Vlad. I'm sorry, but you broke up a little and I didn't get what you were saying.
Let's try.
That's okay. Just say it again.
I heard a lot of factors. That's why it's a bit difficult to say in one sentence.
You know what it is too, I think. My guess is the microphone and everything today, I can hear you clearly, but I'm not understanding you as well as usual today. So like, it's funny. You're loud from what I can hear, but the words, I'm having a much more difficult time with your accent, which I suspect is the microphone is being funny this time. It's not, because it's not like you speak English any differently than you normally do. But it's eating a little, yeah. I know, we can't help the echo, guys. That's the only way for you both to hear what's going on with Callum.
I had to put on my best British to understand me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then we got Callum's accent too. We're really testing you guys today. Well, you know what? I mean, it's already 12:20.
Let's try this one. TikTok guys, they heard me now or not?
They can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
I just muted on the TikTok and use only microphone in the laptop.
Okay, that's okay. No, I was just going to say anyway.
Let's try doing this.
I mean, go on.
I want to try to repeat what exactly I want to say.
Okay.
So this exactly share all weapons, all equipments like tanks, like everything else share with a lot of guys.
Right.
Exactly the idea. Don't like local commanders. I mean, the head of the groups of people. 10 of people, 12 of people, they don't like such an idea because that's not make a big difference.
Right. And Vlad, just to repeat, so what Vlad is saying is, sorry, real quick, what Vlad just said was they're taking the weapons they're getting and they're spreading them out everywhere. rather than putting them like in one area and making a super brigade or a super unit. They're spreading out the weapons everywhere, and a lot of the guys feel like you're watering down the impact of the weapons by putting one good weapon here and one good weapon with this group, etc.
See, I would say you're actually securing those assets.
Well, that's true too. Explain what you mean, Callum.
So if you have all 24 Challenger 2 tanks in one unit, they'll be spread over the course of a mile. So a couple Russian planes and helicopters get close enough, fire at them, you've got good odds of knocking out half of it.
Okay. Okay. So there's more of a risk of if you get into a situation where one gets destroyed, you run the risk of getting a lot of them destroyed if they're all together. Is the concern.
Yeah, precisely.
Right. Now, they're more effective if they're together, but you run a much greater risk of losing them.
Yeah, well, by incorporating NATO weapons into the Ukrainian units that, are mainly running on the old Soviet era equipment.
Right.
Then you can increase the overall efficiency and effectiveness of that unit by, say, 30%.
Okay.
Right? So your one unit made of purely NATO equipment would be, say, 400% better.
Right.
But the larger impact spread over gives you more of a long-term benefit and more security that way.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so that's the logic then. Okay, that's interesting. Now, and the one unit, I guess it depends on what it is. If it's a tank, potentially it's giving you additional range, which is actually protecting you more. Because if the tank has additional range, now there's less of a chance that anything's able to get close enough to attack the rest of your unit. I'm assuming.
Yeah, so by putting the NATO weapons in, you're increasing pretty much all the benefits in that otherwise potentially Soviet unit. So if you spread these sort of NATO assets out,
right,
then you've got the kind of added benefit of having the upper edge, because the Russians and Ukrainians are, for the most part, fighting with the same equipment.
Right.
And
right.
then the sort of little NATO edge gives the Ukrainians that advantage.
Oh, no, okay. This is actually interesting because, okay, I guess, and again, I sort of knew this but forgot, that I'm always thinking of the airplanes and how with the planes, the Russians are ahead. And it's a big problem. That the Russian planes are so much better that the Ukrainian planes, if the MiGs could get shot out of the sky. But with tanks and things on the ground, the Ukrainians and the Russians have pretty similar, so that the Western equipment is so much better that at least for the ground fighting, it gives a very good advantage. But also, as you just said earlier, the tanks also have, what were they, Hellfire? The missiles that can take out the helicopters too.
Yeah, from what I believe, they were equipped with
Okay,
Hellfire.
so that's so again, it's creating a big difference on the ground versus the air. In other words, the ground, they were pretty much evenly matched. So this perhaps is going to be, well, and again, we'll see what happens with this counteroffensive now, the second stage. Now that they're engaging a lot more of now that the Ukrainians are putting into play a lot more of their weapons, we'll really see what impact this has. Hopefully.
Yeah, the other thing on that is that if Ukrainians were to put all the Challenger 2s into one unit, for example, then it would become a massive target.
Right.
So it would be worthwhile Russia risking X helicopters, X aircraft in order to destroy that.
Okay. Yeah, no, I see what you mean. Okay, then, yeah. That's interesting. Okay. Katie, actually Vlad, maybe if you've heard anything about this. Katie is asking, she says, since the U.S. said Ukraine could not shoot into Russian territory using Ukrainian weapons, a Ukrainian general said he would build his own stuff to shoot into Russian territory. Have you heard anything about this?
The UK said
Will
go
you
for
repeat, please? Okay.
Sasha, Sorry, Sasha's hearing the neighbor and their dog that she wants to play with. Oh, God. Oh, God. Sasha, come on, wait. Oh, God. Oh. Well, you're getting a live dog feed from Washington, D.C., those of you around the world. Actually, you know what, Vlad, I was going to say anyway, we've already been doing this for an hour and a half. I say we wrap up, and because also now with my dog noise, it's going to be a problem anyway. But we've done an hour and a half, which is pretty good. So, unless you guys had anything important you wanted to add, either of you?
No, happy to answer any questions anyone has or anything like that. Otherwise,
I would say, but an hour and a half, I wanted to wrap up anyway, really. Okay, yeah, but I wanted to wrap up anyway at this point. I mean, it's been an hour and a half. I have to get to do other stuff. Vlad, anything, Vlad, throw in real quick? No? All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up because, like I said, I'm getting tired anyway, and I want to go do other stuff. No offense to you, I love you. But an hour and a half is all I wanted to devote. And she's driving. You see, it's not loud to you. To me, it's ear shattering. It drives me crazy. I mean, what do you do? But it's just like, All right, Vlad, thanks for joining us. Vlad's in Ukraine. Callum has been joining us from Scotland, and Callum is a former military explosives expert. So he's been talking to us about British military, about a lot of that, which has been very cool. This is really cool. Thanks, guys. This is really neat. Well, Brian, the way TikTok does it with the lives is TikTok, Brian was saying it would be nice if TikTok let me record the lives. TikTok saves me a recording privately. And then the problem is like this, it's an hour and a half recording. Good luck grabbing 3-minute segments that are interesting. I'll be spending all day trying to go through it, right? What I can do is potentially put it on YouTube later. Because there's a little bit less of a value later if you're watching it. You know what I mean? I think watching it live is much more interesting, also because you get the questions and everything else. But I could potentially share it on YouTube later, and then on YouTube, well, however we share the YouTube link on Discord, that's easy. So even for you TikTok folks, you can at least go to Discord and to YouTube and watch the whole thing. I'll do that. Yeah, I just didn't want to. What I want to avoid is providing the same benefit for the free people entirely, because I want you guys to get an extra benefit because you're paying. You know what I mean? So that's my only concern about putting it. I tend not to put it on YouTube later, but this was really interesting. So yeah, if you guys don't mind, I'll when TikTok finally has the file, like I said, I wish I had the time and the staff. I have no staff to go through it, because it would be really interesting to grab clips. But to grab clips, you've got to listen to the entire hour and a half and grab stuff, and it takes forever. Even though it would be really interesting. So, yeah. No, I'm with you, Brian. I think that's really interesting.
Some AI technologies perhaps the most interesting.
But can you? I mean, you know what I mean? It's an interesting question. If you want to try, Vlad, be my guest. But it's an interesting question. I mean, I'd put it with the tech stuff.
Well, if you can, would you please upload to the YouTube our live show about Maskinet from the Kharkiv?
Yes. Yeah, I can download that too. Yes. Yeah, I'll do that too. Okay. Yep. I'll do both of them. Like I said, it'll take some time. But yeah. I'll worst comes to worst, remind me later, but I'm writing myself a note. I've got the lines, the enemy lines on my notes here. Here, I'll do one more here. Camo. So CamoNet and Vlad chat YouTube. Okay, I'll hopefully know what that means. All right. Yeah, I can't edit it. I would love to actually, Deb, but I can't edit it. There's no way. I mean, like David makes enough that he's got staff that helps him do all the editing, which is great, because I would love to grab bits, but it's too hard. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. Okay, guys. All right, let's go. I will put the CamoNet up one as well later, and that's a good idea. Ashley will be on my staff. Thank you, Ashley. Love you. All right, guys, let's all say goodbye. Callum, thank you. Vlad, thank you. We'll talk again. All right?
Yes, thank you. Have a good.
All right, bye, guys. You guys, thank you. See you guys. Leave the stage. Boom. All right. That was good. That was good. See you guys. All right.